A modern Formula One car can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour and back to 0 again in less distance than a normal road car needs just to accelerate. At high speed, these machines generate so much downforce they could theoretically drive upside down on a ceiling. The steering wheel alone looks more complicated than a fighter jet. Drivers lose multiple kilograms of body weight in a single race, and every tiny detail, every curve, every material, every millisecond is worth millions of dollars. Formula One isn't just racing anymore, it's an engineering war. And the craziest part? These cars are getting so advanced, some people believe humans are becoming the weakest part of the machine. To understand Formula One, you first need to understand one thing. These cars were never supposed to become this fast. In the early days of racing, Formula One cars looked almost simple. Thin tires, minimal aerodynamics, barely any safety. Drivers relied mostly on courage. But over time, engineers realized something dangerous. Speed wasn't limited by the engine anymore. It was limited by grip, because no matter how much power a car has, it means nothing if the tires can't stay connected to the road. And that single problem changed Formula One forever. Engineers became obsessed with air, not the engine, air. Because air can be manipulated, controlled, weaponized. That's where downforce comes in. At high speed, Formula One cars push themselves into the ground using aerodynamics. The faster the car moves, the harder it grips the track. At extreme speed, an F1 car creates thousands of kilograms of downforce, enough to theoretically drive upside down inside a tunnel. And suddenly, corners that should be impossible became possible. But there was a problem. More downforce creates more drag. More drag reduces speed. So Formula One teams entered an endless engineering battle. Every season became a war against physics itself. Tiny wing adjustments, microscopic aerodynamic details. Millions spent chasing fractions of a second. Because in Formula One, 1/10 of a second can decide everything. Then there's the part most people underestimate: the driver. Formula One drivers aren't just athletes. They are biological machines trained to survive forces most humans never experience. During corners, drivers experience extreme G-forces powerful enough to pull the head sideways with enormous weight, and they fight those forces while traveling over 300 kilometers per hour. One small mistake, and it's over instantly. Reaction times become almost superhuman. Drivers process braking points, tire temperatures, fuel usage, grip levels, steering adjustments, radio communication all at the same time, while sitting centimeters above the ground at terrifying speed. And after an entire race, many drivers lose several kilograms purely from physical stress and dehydration. Formula One isn't comfortable. It's survival at the edge of control. Then there's the steering wheel, or what Formula One calls a steering wheel, because honestly, it looks more like a spaceship control system. Modern F1 steering wheels contain dozens of buttons, switches, and settings. Drivers can adjust brake balance, differential settings, energy deployment, engine modes, all while racing at full speed. And teams constantly feed drivers information through radio communication. Every lap becomes a moving strategy simulation. Formula One isn't just about driving fast anymore. It's about processing information faster than everyone else. But maybe the craziest part of Formula One is how much money teams spend chasing perfection. Top teams invest hundreds of millions of dollars every year for improvements most people would never even notice. A slightly redesigned wing, a lighter material, a tiny aerodynamic change, sometimes worth just a few hundredths of a second. But in Formula One, those hundredths decide championships, which means engineering becomes obsession, and obsession becomes identity. That's why Formula One attracts some of the smartest engineers on Earth. Because this isn't just motorsport anymore. It's one of the most advanced engineering competitions humanity has ever created. If you learned something new today, subscribe to Nold Theory. I upload cinematic documentaries about engineering, ambition, luxury, and the stories behind modern legends. And trust me, some of the next stories are even crazier. See you in the next one.